Hey, what's up, comic book fans? I'm Dinosaur Neil.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And along with Troy the Max Extreme, who...
What? He's disappeared!
Is missing again!
Oh my lord!
We make IMPERIUS REX.
That's right. Somehow we do it.
Yep.
But you know what? We're going to get Troy on the horn because this is an impromptu episode.
Yes.
We couldn't wait any longer. Couldn't stretch this out. We had to talk about the notorious, the illustrious...
Oh, yeah.
The seminal Zack Snyder Justice League.
Had to be talked about.
That's right. But we're going to get to that later.
Yes.
We are going to talk about it. We did a little discourse between ourselves and Troy.
Yep.
Audio only, so that's going to come at the tail end of this episode. It's a long one, just like the movie itself.
Yes.
It's 4 hours. Just kidding. Our talk's only like an hour.
The Justice League, though, it is 4 hours.
That's right.
So pat out a good afternoon for it.
Yep. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. We will talk about it. Just let it run in the background. You don't have to look at us or anything. Just let it play. But there's a few things we wanted to just touch on right up top. Top of the hour. I even have notes.
Woo!
Show notes.
Let's hear it.
First note, remind them that we're going to talk about Justice League at the end of the episode.
Got it.
We did it. Check that off. All right. Second thing, remind them that coming up soon, this April, mark your calendars, April 24th is going to be the date that our mysterious, imperious live book club returns, and we're going to be talking about Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, Volume 1.
Volume 1, baby.
Hashtag Dream Stream.
Hashtag Dream Stream. We'll get it going. You know
See
it.
if more people than just the three of us use that. And my wife / business manager.
Yeah.
For support. Try to get the numbers up. So now's the time to get reading. If you want to support the show, you can always join our Patreon and get free access to our Discord, where we're going to be doing a little pre-work before the live event. We're all going to be reading along leading up to that. Chit-chatting, gathering notes, deciding what we're going to discuss. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a great time.
Bring the community tighter. And we're all going to be stronger having gone through this.
Everyone is. And what a better book to do it with than Sandman.
How would you know? You haven't read it yet.
I don't know. But, you know, a lot of people seem to.
People like it.
People like it.
See what the big deal is. One other bit of news coming up this April. We were invited to guest host on a podcast where they chat about X-Men, of all things.
What?
Called Power of X-Men.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun show. They reached out to us. We reached out to them. Thought maybe we'd do a little crossover at some point in the future.
This is it?
Yep, this is it.
The crossover.
The X-over.
Yeah.
That's right. So, yeah, they have new episodes every Tuesday, dropping at midnight every Tuesday. They're way more consistent than we are. But we're going to be joining them coming up shortly to chat about a X-Men book of my own selection.
Wow.
One that I think Troy might actually enjoy reading.
We'll see.
Yep. And then we're going to have those guys just video in on one of our episodes, too, in the future on maybe an X book of their choosing.
Very nice.
We'll have to see. Cross-pollination, they
Make
call it in
them not
the biz.
do an X-Men book.
Ooh,
There we go.
That sounds intriguing. In other news, since we're just talking about, we're getting everything out. We're airing all of our grievances here.
Yeah.
I want to give a quick update on the comic that I've been making. It's the adaptation of our own short film, Murder Party. So myself and 2 other artists have been working on it. Othell Flowers, who did a good chunk of artwork. He did some tremendous work.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've been also joined by Stephen Vincent, Canadian representative of our show, Canadian ambassador of IMPERIUS REX, actually just sent me a care package of goodies, and it's amazing.
That's incredible.
Most lovely human being, stocked with Canadian treats, some toys that we're going to have adorning our shelves shortly, and also some original artwork, which I'm going to show here. Look at this stuff. It is amazing.
The Canadian hospitality. Oh, my God. You don't piss on hospitality.
You do not.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Steven, awesome guy. Great work. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
We're going to get this thing out, but we're not rushing anything. This is going to be a high-quality product. 50 pages, if not more, full color.
It's looking great.
Yeah, It's going to be great. We're going to get some other artists to contribute some prints for the back matter, and it's really going to be something. One more reminder, Justice League coming up any second now, but I just want to mention that coming up on our channel over the next couple months, we have some great episodes lined up. We spun the spinny wheel, the IMPERIUS REX spinny wheel. You see it there, Neil?
It's not,
you want to hold that up?
You know
what? You know what that landed on last time we spun it? Last time we opened Pandora's box?
It doesn't look like it's moved.
That's it. I don't think we've touched it since. Blow some dust off that. We have a Teenage, a Mutant, a Ninja, a Turtles episode coming down the pipe very shortly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading it as we speak.
Nice.
Dip my toe into the old Mirage black and white, and now I'm reading some of that new IDW, that relaunch from probably 10 years by now, but hardly new anymore, but you know what? Really enjoying it.
That's incredible, but that's not all.
That's not all.
We've also got another one coming up. Jeff Lemire's Gideon Falls.
Oh my gosh.
Looking forward to that show altogether. Great book so far. That's the one I'm in the midst of reading of. Incredible.
And we kicked that off in our Discord, our Patreon Discord, where that was the initial inaugural prototype book club. Before we launched it to the world, we just did this all ourselves, and we're like, is this gonna work?
And it took off.
Is it good?
It's very good.
One of our Patreon rewards is a free digital comic each month, and this was the one that we selected and read, and wouldn't you know it, almost everybody just followed through on that series. They saw it to the end.
They sure did.
And I was like, if they're doing it, I better too. So then we read it all, and now we've got an episode on the books. So that was good. And then we've got a little bit more Alan Moore, because you know you want it.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, I don't know if you want this.
We'll see.
But I wanted this.
I want to hear all about it.
This is a return of Imperious Sex.
Oh!
Sloppy Sexence.
Working title.
Working title. Yep.
And we'll work on the thumbnails so they don't get flagged immediately.
That's right. Right now we're a little too hot for YouTube. A little not safe for work at the moment. So we're trying to tone down our sexuality, but it's just, it doesn't want to be tamed.
It's only getting hotter from here, if you ask me.
That's right. Oh man. And on that note, should we get into the main event here?
Absolutely.
Can we talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League?
We are. And we did.
And we will again. Can I get something out of the open right now? Can I lay myself bare here?
You sure can.
Okay. So I am, and have always been, a Zack Snyder fan.
This is true. I've
I
heard
know
you say it a lot.
It's uncomfortable to admit in this current climate.
Don't say it on Twitter.
No.
Oh, God, no.
I feel a little bit more seen at the moment because I feel like when Zack, I can call him Zack.
Yeah.
Since Dawn of the Dead. I think it was 2004 maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, always been a fan of his work. Love the visual style. People give him guff about that.
Yeah.
As if that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I don't understand the dogpiling necessarily.
No,
I say let him do it.
It's a bit rude.
He's got a vision. You can't say that about everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Some would even call him a visionary.
Some would.
Others may call him a director.
And he is.
And some may call him a visionary director. But apparently that ruffles people's feathers. I kid. I think he's a good guy. He makes stuff that I enjoy.
Yep.
Not everything is a complete knock it out of the park success.
No.
But I like the properties that he does. I think he makes great looking movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think he makes even better trailers.
Oh my God, yeah. Absolutely.
And, yeah, I mean, he treats his stuff seriously, and I appreciate that. There's no, like, wink and a nod to the audience. There's no, like, isn't this shit stupid? But you guys like it, I guess. Here you go. Like, I get that he likes his stuff, and even if his take on it isn't necessarily, like, your take, he's still giving it his all, and I feel like he cares about it more than most people in that situation.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with you on that. And it's mostly because he's tackling some of the most beloved comic book properties that I think he's getting, like, raked over the coals sometimes.
Yeah, no small feat.
No.
When it was just 300, everyone's like, yeah, that was fun. We didn't give a shit about 300, but the movie was cool.
Yeah.
But when you're messing with Superman and Batman...
Watchmen.
and Watchmen, everybody's got an opinion on that. And if it doesn't align perfectly with what it has necessarily always been.
Yeah.
People get agitated.
They sure do.
But all that out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoy his work.
Yeah.
So if you're a Zack Snyder fan, you're in good company here,
Yeah,
I suppose.
yes.
Troy, I think, is a little more apprehensive, and that's fine. We don't want it to just be a huge love fest.
True.
I will say I was never in the camp of the really rabid, like, demanding of the Snyder Cut, though.
Right.
Like that, it was a bit of a turnoff with all that, but it seems like by the end of the day, enough fans rallied behind him. They actually raised a lot of money and support for suicide prevention and awareness, which you can say, like, no matter what came out of this, that was a good thing.
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
unarguably good thing.
Right.
And along with that, we got this full 4-hour movie that I don't think anyone realistically ever expected to see.
No, this really set a precedent. This is something that, to my knowledge, has never, happened before.
No. But I feel like it could potentially happen quite often going forward.
We'll see.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's, without getting too much into it, let's get into it. So feel free to go about your business, plug in your earbuds, and listen to us talk about our thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Good day.
Hello there, Internet. Troy to the Max Extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And Dinosaur Neil.
And together...
Neil.
Oh. Together we are Imperius Rex. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Troy.
Oh, hello, Dave.
Hey, Troy.
Hey, today we are joined together through Discord to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. We're talking about it.
Wait, when did this happen?
In full. It's happening right now, in the present, Dave. Anytime anyone's listening to this, it's happening to them right now.
Oh, wonderful.
That's right.
The time stream.
Time stream.
It's a flat circle.
It is something else. Really, isn't it? Guys, this movie took the internet by storm. It's been championed by the internet for even longer, and it finally dropped on us on Thursday, which I actually thought it came out Friday, but it came out Thursday, and my side of Twitter has been talking about it nonstop. How about you guys?
I've never experienced something that willed itself into existence so thoroughly other than the redesign of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's the only other precedent I can think of for this situation. Yeah, it's been pretty talked about. I haven't been online a whole lot this week, mainly because I just want to go in fresh, or as fresh as I could possibly be, on this monumental undertaking. And my word, I didn't know what I was in for. I wasn't ready for it. I don't know about you guys.
I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be in store for either, but go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I did not know what I was going to be in store for, much like the rest of you.
Now, did you guys go back and watch the original just so you had fresh in your mind what is actually... I mean, not some things are very easily able to tell what is different, but did you guys go back and watch so you saw any nuances or anything like that?
No.
Oh, I actually had only seen this one other time, and that was just obviously the first time I had watched the original Justice League, and then watching this. So there were points where I wasn't even sure if I would even remember what was in the original cut and what was in this one.
Yeah. So I went back and I did rewatch it, and
how'd that treat you?
So just real quick, right off the top, the Justice League movie, it It.
Did you come up with that on your own?
I had the internet's help with that one.
They did all the heavy lifting on that.
Real quick, so it's just, I'm not going to say it is bad. It's not. It's just so plain and milquetoast, and what he throws in there, what he felt like he needed to add to that, is such in contrast to what Zack Snyder's already filmed, and in contrast to the universe that's just come before it anyway, that it just feels out of place. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. It's just kind of ho-hum. Because I got at the end, I'm like, oh, well, that was it. And then that's all I thought about it anymore. But like
I remember. Oh no, go ahead.
But there were some moments that I just. Well, this is kind of jumping ahead. That I just felt like, why did he decide to change that? Decide to put his own stamp on it, and that was it. Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
Yeah, I saw Justice League in the theater twice. It wasn't on purpose. Somebody wanted to go see it opening day with me at work, and I was like, yeah, we could skip work for this. And I saw it, and it was like, oh, that was all right. And then when I got home from work, my son was like, yeah, I'll see it with you. And I was like, oh, great. Okay. So I went and saw it again. And then I was good for a while. And then I think when it was available digitally, I put it on like in the background as like, yeah, let's just have this on, kids. We'll just do whatever and watch it in the background. And I almost couldn't be in the same room with it. I was like, this is so much worse than I remember. Like, this is terrible. So my latest reaction to it was that it is overwhelmingly bad. Just, I feel like every step it takes, it does like a misstep. Where like, oh man, that was not the way to go with this. Mm-hmm. It's so focused on being tight and fast moving at the expense of any like actual storyline, and being snarky and witty and funny at the expense of any actual like real character development.
Yeah.
It's no secret I'm not a Joss Whedon fan whatsoever, and I feel like this speaks volumes of like, hey, let's bring in Joss Whedon and he'll make it fun. And it's like, well, he made it something, but I wouldn't say it's fun. And after watching the new version, the Snyder Cut version, I felt like that was a movie, and what Whedon did was like a real quick, like middle school play of that movie. Mm-hmm. That was the difference in quality to me, where I was like, just, oh my God, like who okayed this? Who saw what was coming together with Snyder's version and was like, yeah, let's see what Joss does with it.
Right.
And then they saw it and they're like, yep, this is the way we want to go. And I mean, we know the only reason, well, multiple reasons, but it seemed like the big two were Batman vs. Superman underperformed and was overly long, and everyone was gaga for the Suicide Squad trailer.
Yeah.
So they just like tried to mesh those thoughts and feelings together and ended up with the original Justice League movie.
Yeah, I came out of the first viewing of Justice League being like, yeah, perfectly, it's fine, it's whatever, kind of ho-hum, not like a lot going on, but having it only seen then this Zack Snyder's cut, now I'm like, how on earth was a lot of this not included? Because there are, and we'll get into it, but there are, I would say, hours of content pretty much that were like, this is actually crucial to the point, and it makes everything a million times better. Like,
it makes it an actual movie.
Yeah.
A story.
Yeah, for real. So why don't we just jump right into like the actual Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is 4 hours long, and going into that and knowing that for a while, it's like, oh my God, that sounds very daunting to be 4 hours. But I thought the pacing of it actually was pretty steady and made it flow very well. And I didn't think that was going to be the case.
Dude, I thought like maybe they're making a mistake dumping this in 4 hours rather than episodic. but I never had a problem with the pacing. Like, it totally just, like, it was one long story, and it felt like a very epic story. It felt like exactly what a forming of the Justice League needed. You know, because they didn't have, you know, 10, 15 Marvel movies to establish all the characters. We know who they are essentially, and we've had a couple, but, like, this is essentially doing the heavy lifting of giving them all separate origin movies. And I thought it worked great. I was like, I would almost much rather have one long establishing movie like this than have to sit through like 5 or 6 individual character movies that ultimately only lead to them forming the Justice League. If anything, like, this is kind of a tighter way of doing that.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think though this movie is a little bloated. Like, I can see some of the things that maybe the WB or maybe Joss Whedon wanted to cut was because it was a bit ancillary material and it wasn't like as focused.
It was more sprawling just in the event. I mean, I'm not trying to hyperbole when I say it was an epic movie. Like, it very much was an epic movie. It was the most epic of any superhero movie I think we've got outside of the last 2 Avenger movies. You know, it really felt like this big, grandiose thing all coming together. So I was okay watching, like, all these different pieces of it. It felt like it's like a superhero Lawrence of Arabia or Apocalypse Now or something that it's just, by nature, it is a big thing with a huge scope. And I was cool getting, like, all these bits and pieces of all these different characters. Like, this was where we got the character development from all of these people that was completely absent in the original cut.
Yeah.
You know, seeing the little bits with Barry Allen saving Iris, all of the Ray Fisher stuff is Cyborg, which is literally the heart of the movie, and just seeing how that was gutted in the original one, it's like, no shit, they were all pissed about that. Like, you took, like, your main character, like, the soul of the flick, and completely scraped him out of it. Like, what a choice there.
Yeah.
Very much so. Because I don't think I didn't really feel the bloat. I get what you're saying, but I felt like if you're gonna have to do it in this, like, introduce kind of Cyborg, Flash, you're really introducing Aquaman, I guess, in this too. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's
I kept forgetting that we hadn't had the Aquaman movie yet at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, he's kind of an asshole, and I kept having to remind myself, like, oh wait, this is before, like, he becomes really likable and jovial and everything.
Right. I think that it all made it work so much more cohesively. Like, I was watching this with Dave, and I said to him once, like, even, like, the action set pieces are all stretched out a bit, but it all felt better. Like, nothing felt like they were just, like, trying to get from point A to point B. Like, they threw in a part where, like, Steppenwolf needs to throw this horse for some reason, and it was incredible. But, like, I would say a lot of the action was done even better and stretched out just a little bit, but I don't think anything was really a disservice as far as, like, being bloated is concerned.
Well, so here's my opinion, and it might not be a popular one. The Iris West scene is cool, but it does nothing for the story. Like, it doesn't do anything.
No, it gives you the first look at his powers, I guess. If this is the first you know of the Flash, that's your introduction to his speed power.
Yeah.
Because it's before Bruce Wayne recruits him.
Yeah. And I think if you didn't see that from, like, the trailer material or anything like that, you wouldn't have missed it from the story, I don't think, at all. And so, like, that whole thing, I think, could have been cut, and it wouldn't have impacted at all. It would have taken, like, 10 minutes off the movie.
Yeah.
Also, like, now this is, like, my biggest, like, probably controversial topic, but, like, I kind of see why I don't know if this is Warner Brothers or Joss Whedon did cut some of the Cyborg stuff. Like, because some of it it is a little bit over here not going with, if they were to stream, because let's say if this was to go to theaters, they need to have as many viewings as this as possible. So they want it tight. They can't put a 4-hour movie because they're not going to make their money back. That's essentially cutting your views in half if you're having a 4-hour cut. So I see why they cut the Cyborg stuff, but I do agree that like the movie should have been built around Cyborg, because we already know Wonder Woman, we know Batman, we know Superman, and like the forming of the team comes around him as he's making it happen. So you have that heart of the story, and you also have this epic going on at the same time. But like when they
and it seems like the theme of this is kind of like broken people coming together. You know, Batman is healing, Cyborg is healing. It's all forming this complete whole. Where that was just that entire theme was taken out entirely.
Yeah. But I do understand why it was cut. Like the whole origin of his powers, like you kind of see him in like that whole like computer techscape.
Matrix.
Yeah. Like it, like you could cut it and you could still understand. You won't get the full extent of his powers, but like I could see why it would be cut for time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But like that's.
Yep. And
that's
I'll say like what we got here was everything that you could possibly put into this movie. Like this is the extended Lord of the Rings cut. You know, this is the Watchmen Ultimate Edition with the animated thing. I would imagine if he did have full control to put this in theaters, some of this would have naturally fallen on the cutting room floor anyway.
Right.
You know, this was just like, okay, Zack, get these people off our back. Put everything you possibly could in this so they will stop asking us for more Snyder Cut material. Just go crazy. I think that's what this was. I don't think he ever intended for this 4-hour thing to see theaters, but he's at a very unique position where it's like, I could put everything I ever filmed and anything that I didn't even film yet into this.
Right.
So I'm going to do it. Like, it's already this event. Like, just keep packing it in. Make it longer. It doesn't need to fit a running time anymore.
So
I would be surprised if anything got cut out of this.
Yeah.
Speaking of things getting cut out, though, like, I was absolutely gobsmacked at the amount of footage that was cut out of the original Justice League. They used nearly none of Zack Snyder's original stuff.
Yeah, it was like 20% maybe.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was like watching a completely different movie. And I don't think anybody realized that was how different this would be. Like, essentially the story, the general story of, like, we need to stop Steppenwolf is the same, but that is about it. you know?
Yeah.
It makes me, and like even
it's almost like, did they just have a separate camera going the whole time and they just used all the footage from that one? Like, it's so much that, like, there are only a couple shots that are shot for shot the same. Like, otherwise it's different angles, it's extended cuts. Like, it literally is a different movie, a different looking movie entirely.
Right. And it makes it seem like, because some shots were even reshot, like in the Joss Whedon version. Like, when Batman meets the Flash for the first time, they use some of the same footage, but then you can tell when it zips back to Barry Allen, he's got, like, a different haircut for a second. Yeah. And it's like, why did you need to add this in here when it's essentially the same?
You know, it's so funny, like, both Batman's meeting with Aquaman and his first meeting with the Flash, like, this entire movie is longer except for those meetings where it just meandered for jokes in the original.
Yeah.
Like, they just cut out all the stupid banter that really had no purpose of being here. Like, oh, what's brunch? I don't fucking understand brunch. Like, Barry, get with the fucking program. Like, we have a 2-hour time limit. We don't need to spend 5 goddamn minutes debating brunch.
Go ahead.
Ray Fisher was cut for brunch.
Yeah. And here's my one thing on Barry Allen real quick is before we got introduced, I'm like, man, I wonder if the Flash is going to be different. But to my surprise, he was exactly the same as he was in the Joss Whedon cut. And I was like, God damn it. I wish he was completely different.
I don't like his portrayal of the Flash much in this, but it does, as it goes on, get better.
Yes.
Yes. By the end of it, I liked his role. We're not going to jump to the end yet, but I thought the whole kind of climax of the movie with him was really well done. Actually,
Yeah.
I thought that was phenomenally well done. And it added another little ripple to this entire thing that Zack has been building that was completely just ignored in the Justice League cut.
There was so much heart. There was so much heart in every single character that just got stripped away. It's crazy.
Yeah, everyone in this movie had a really great moment, if not multiple moments.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the other one, they were almost completely cut just so Superman could come in and save the day. And that wasn't the case here at all. Like, Superman saved the day, obviously, but it still took all of them working as a team to do it, which it's like, yes, that is what it should be. And yeah, it took 4 hours, but like, it really felt like a fucking feat. Here, this movie, like, as it should. It's the Justice League, you know. It's not just it's not DC's answer to the Avengers. This was before the Avengers. This is like the gods of the comic universe. Like, this should be big. It should have a huge scope. It should feel epic, and it did. It looked and sounded. I will say I got a little tired of Wonder Woman's her choir score every time she hopped in. It's like, I'd much rather use the shredded guitar riff, but that's, you know, one of my minor complaints. But my God, no one else can film one of these movies like Zack does. And people like joke on him like, "Ooh, another epic visionary decision from Snyder," and it's like, yeah, because he is. Like, it's not pretentious if you actually are filming a really nice, great looking movie.
So
like, I'm glad someone cares enough about superhero shit to make them look this good on screen.
Forever ago, I want to just say this before I forget it again, but like 10 years ago, when this was supposed to be like Justice League Parts 1 and 2, do you think that's what this is?
Maybe.
Because like it's I have a hard time finding where they would split it and like put out part 1, because there's not like something in the middle that is just like, holy shit, now it's a cliffhanger, come back for part 2. Like, I don't know where you would cut it.
No, because halfway through is where they first meet up with Steppenwolf and save Victor's father, you know? And that's not, like, by any means a climax of the movie moment, so...
Right.
I don't know. I think maybe they would have had to really truncate some stuff and then really expand on, like, that last final battle, maybe?
Maybe, because
maybe they would have more with Darkseid.
Or bring in Darkseid. Yeah, I would think maybe they defeat Steppenwolf earlier, and then the next one would have to be Darkseid.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That was my last... I had it on my piece of paper here to say, and I was just like, I need to get back to it somehow. But yeah, so every character I do feel like had their moment in this, and what I do like that this film does with the heroes is that they aren't like the Marvel heroes, right? They are like godly. Like, they have huge amounts of power, enough to the point where we see like the proto like Justice League in the very beginning of this, like, have like, it's like the Middle Earth battle, you know? Like, it took all of them to withstand like a large foe when it has 6 of them in this to do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, I got huge Lord of the Rings vibes from this, and I'm curious what Neil thinks about that, since you are the Lord of the Rings aficionado. Did you get kind of the same feel, just like in the scope and length of this movie?
For scope and length, definitely, and like also going against the odds against this big, powerful evil that could easily come in and crush the whole world. Because like you could see Darkseid's Omega beams as the one big eye, kind of a Sauron eye in the sky kind of a thing, I guess. But yeah, there are, I would say, some good correlations in between them, which was kind of cool. Like, epicness for sure. Like, you got, like, there are points where you get like chills, like when Superman shows up and like Superman's theme is playing, and you're just like, oh my god, like that is nice. Like, Superman's theme is so uplifting. Like, that's where I got the chills, when he would just kind of like, I'm back. I'm gonna go pick out my sweet outfit, and I'm gonna go and like when both Russell Crowe, when both of his dads are like monologuing to him as he's walking through his ship, and I'm like, oh my god, like what a scene!
Like they heard us just orgasming over how that trailer is the best part of Superman.
Yeah,
and then they just go and they pull those two epic narrations back, pair it with that Hans Zimmer. It was Zimmer, right? Who did the score?
Yeah.
Yep, for Superman of Steel, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Very good. And
that is how you handle a Superman return.
Absolutely.
Almost made me forget that he was killed off so quickly and easily in the movies prior to this. It felt meaningful.
It did. But on the topic of that, real quick, I think Superman coming back in a blue and red costume would have felt better, in my opinion. I don't think the black costume was necessary.
I think the black costume looks weird with a cape.
That's kind of true. I didn't think it was necessary. Like it looked fine in my opinion, but like I think him coming back with that, and I get that they're pulling from like the Death of Superman stuff, but like it's not the same, and you only have this short window of time. So to him come back like in a triumphant red blue costume, I think would have sold it better for me. But that's very minor.
Yeah, I mean, but it was originally filmed like that because I heard that one of the Snyder Cut stuff was to make that black suit because Warner Brothers didn't want to have it. But now that he has full control of whatever, he went in and color corrected everything after his rebirth. So it wasn't originally red and blue, but it's now all black and silver.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the black. I just gave it something else, you know? Yeah. He just came back from the dead. He's feeling a bit down. let him do his black suit.
I guess.
I would have loved
if only it was like the Tobey Maguire black suit and he comes back from the dead just dancing.
Yeah, he's got bangs.
Digging on that.
Oh, man. I would have loved it if they just, like, brought him back to life and for the rest of the whole movie, he's just in his suit he was buried in.
Those torn up slacks.
Kent.
Yeah, torn up slacks. Yep.
So, real quick, if we could talk about Superman, and just right off the bat, if we're comparing the two movies, this is a cheap shot, but do you remember how the original Justice League opened?
Yeah.
With that atrocious handheld camera shot with the
kids on a phone.
Terrible upper lip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and then what we got in this one. And just right off the bat, you're like, this is a completely different level of movie making that we're experiencing here.
Okay, let me...
Like, I just feel in so much better hands.
I want to touch on that mustache
Someone that
gate
gives
thing.
a shit.
Because, like, every single scene in the Justice League movie that we got prior with the weird mustache stuff, like, it didn't need to ever do... Like, all the shots that is, like, stuff that Joss Whedon either added or did a reshoot of the same scene that was better in this. Like, it's in when he comes back
there was
at the farm.
Nothing new.
Yeah, when he comes back at the farm, he only talks to, like, Lois. But in this version, he talks to Lois and Martha. The same sentiment still gets across, and yet you're totally distracted by a weird CG upper lip that is like, what? Why? What is this? And then you question it even harder when you saw what was originally shot. That works, arguably better, because it's not distracting, and you have his whole family dynamic that is still alive there with him to celebrate his rebirth. It's like, why did you need to change that? Why?
I have no idea why some of these decisions were made. All I can think of is out of spite. It's like, here, we already filmed this, and he's like, I don't need that. I'm gonna make my version.
Right.
You know, like, did he even look at the original footage?
Not a
I feel
clue.
like he probably didn't. He's just like, nope, doing my way. My way's better.
God.
I mean, everything's hearsay, but at this point, we've heard that, like, apparently the Whedon environment during the shoot was not great.
Right.
And I thought somewhere, like, you know, some of the grips and some of the technicians were saying just how he was constantly ripping on, like, the previous shoot and saying, like, oh, you know, they didn't know what they were doing. Oh, we're going to be doing something so much better, all this shit. And he's saying it to people that were all just working on the previous shoot.
Yeah,
So he was, not only was he bad-mouthing, like, Snyder's work, but it's like, yeah, but these are all the same people that worked on it. You're just, like, ripping on the work that they just did.
Right. Just some grip comes up and kicks him into his nuts.
If only.
Yeah.
Best boy.
Put him down. Yeah. He would be the best boy.
So I also think that in this version of the film, I feel like they are more aligned with like how I feel like the heroes are. Like, Batman is curious and doing, like, a little more detective work. He's not as, I'm gonna kill you, as much as I definitely dislike in Batman v Superman. Superman, it does take a while for him to come back, as it does in the original cut. But, like, when he comes back, after he's kind of realigned himself, I feel like he is also, like, a real Superman archetype that I like. And Wonder Woman, I don't think, like, gets as much play. Well, I would say just in general, she doesn't get as much play as Wonder Woman through a majority of this film. Like, there's a part in the beginning, and there's the end, of course. But in the middle, she's more like Diana helping Bruce out with, like, getting all the League together and all that kind of stuff, which I like. But there is one moment what they did with her, like, entrance with the saving the bank that I felt like was out of character still, when she just straight up murders that guy in front of children. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like something that she would do.
I forget, how did she murder him?
She
bashes her bracelets
together, blowing the side of that building off and all the rubble falling on the police. And the children watch as she does it. I'm like, that doesn't feel anything like we've seen previous in a Wonder Woman movie. Like, she would show compassion.
She blasted him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
the fall killed him. She didn't kill him.
No, man.
She took his death away from the eyes of those children.
No, this is what happened.
Things said, that guy was going to execute a room full of children.
I understand that. I understand that sentiment, but I'm not going to be apologist for a compassionist to murder somebody in front of children.
You missed it. No, you all missed it. She clanged her gauntlets together. He flew out the window right into the backseat of a cop car. You missed it. It was there.
Blink and you miss it.
He used the F word. He used the F word in front of children. I think that's pretty much grounds for execution.
I guess. But I felt it was still
I think
out
there
of
was
character.
3 F-bombs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was glad Cyborg got one of them.
Yeah, same.
Yes, he earned it.
But that's
so how about the R rating? Okay.
I've
noted. Didn't bother me, but
the
R rating I didn't feel was terribly necessary. I mean, it was all just CGI monster gore.
Yeah.
Blood for the most part, and like 3 F words that didn't really need to be there.
Yeah, when it was announced it was rated R, I'm like, okay, for like what? Just so we can have like hyper violence in it or whatever, which I don't think the movie really needs. But I don't think it needed to be really rated R at all. Like, it is just monster violence and stuff. Like, anything added is.
I wouldn't have said any of it. Yeah, I wouldn't say any of that violence would have really qualified for an R-rated violence.
It wouldn't have been anything more than it would have been in an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless maybe just like Wonder Woman kicking those guys around in the beginning, just splatting on the wall is a thing. But I don't know. Not sure. Because otherwise, like, it was all just beastly slaughter.
Beastly slaughter. On the subject of F-bombs and the whole Batman gets to say the F word and all that internet controversy, before we get into that scene in particular, I have to say, when he said it, I was like, fuck yeah, Batman. It's like, you know what? I think it works. This whole time I'm trying to think, like, how is this going to sound natural and be okay with Batman dropping an F-bomb? But for that moment, I was like, Yeah, good on him.
Yeah, look at the world around him.
It was
in that
like
scene.
a wolf.
I'd be swearing
it was
all
totally
the
a
time.
Wolverine moment where like Wolverine gets to drop some F-bombs. It didn't feel out of character at all for me there.
No,
No.
it didn't feel out of character for me because like it happened and I just like kind of glossed over it, like I missed it because I'm like, yeah, that works. Like,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have thought anything of it. I would have probably missed it even if the internet didn't tell me Batman will say fuck. I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Kind of.
Sure did.
We'll talk about this scene specifically, but I want to kind of take into context things around that scene. Now that, like,
we could just do the scene. I feel like we keep saying we're gonna come back to this, and then we're not gonna.
Okay,
so
well,
everyone saw it at this point. Let's talk about like that last or third to last epilogue scene where we get the continuation of the Batman nightmare in the future.
What I like about a lot of that is that all of that time travel stuff that he talks about in the beginning, like, even in Batman versus Superman, where Flash comes to him in through time and says Lois is the key. Like, I love how that pays off. Like, in the movie, because he brings it up again.
And it never did until then.
No, and it was just weird that they omitted a lot of that stuff. And there's a few other instances where it's like, all they had to do was keep that in, and something would have made sense down the road. But
there were so many moments where things suddenly made sense just by keeping in a couple lines of dialogue. They've been cutting out of them all.
Yeah, bringing Superman back to life with the mother boxes. They said one line about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense."
Right.
Keep it in there. And I think they had a whole other convoluted way to describe what was happening there. I'm like, you don't need to go that route.
Yeah.
It's done.
It was
it's
like a battery. Let's just jumpstart him.
Right.
Yeah, it was so dumb. But, like, that all leads into that final scene at the end where, like, you see that version of the Flash there, like, because it's in that exact hellscape where he comes through to tell Bruce that exact thing. My personal thoughts on it is I was blown away that they got all those people to come back to film that scene. Like, because that was a reshoot specifically. And at first I just thought they were adding in Jared Leto. But they added that whole cast back in. I'm like, who was shelling out the dough for everybody to come back? That is wild to me.
What's Amber Heard doing right now? Besides awaiting a prison sentence.
Yeah. So, like, oh, sorry if I'm cutting you off.
I'll just wrap it up by saying I don't want to say it was out of place. Like, I thought it was going to be mixed in towards the middle. It being at the end is fine if you want to set up like a flashpoint kind of thing, which would be kind of neat with those characters. But I actually I liked it. I actually didn't mind Leto at all. I thought it was it was an interesting take. I like how they brought up things of him beating Robin to death and like other things like that was really cool, and like how Batman is very much begrudgingly working with the Joker here. And all those other characters I just thought were really cool to be there, and like they all had a motivation to be there. I thought it was
it's almost like a little Suicide Squad team there of random people grouped together.
I thought that there was going to be kind of what you said, Neil, more nightmare stuff, I guess, added somewhere else in the movie. Because I was sitting there kind of waiting for it to happen, and the movie was done, and I'm like, where's this? And then at the epilogue, when it happened, I'm just like, oh. And then I look at the cast of characters that they have available, and I'm like, this is never going to get followed up on. And so it was almost it's too bad that it did happen, because, like, I don't think Ben Affleck wants to be Batman anymore, unless they shovel a dump truck of money at his back door.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
There's a few characters that are dead in this universe and won't come back. Cyborg is suing Warner Brothers. Amber Heard is a troublesome character. The Flash is also troublesome in his own right. Ezra Miller. And Joe
Manganiello's the only one.
And Joe Manganiello's the only one championing it. And he was supposed to be in the Batman movie with Ben Affleck, which is not going to happen. So his storyline isn't going to get followed up to make sense in this. And I don't like the Jared Leto Joker at all. So, like, to me, it was a waste of time.
I wished it would have happened earlier too, because when it became like the tag at the end, I'm like, ah, shit, this is just they're setting up the sequel that we know is not gonna happen, so it's kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could take or leave most of Batman's crew there, but I did really like the interaction with Joker there. You know, they had the quick little callback to the Joker card, which Batman had on his gun in BVS. Which I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's a reason for everything in Snyder's take, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really liked the weird, crazy Charles Manson version of Joker that Leto did here. And, it's a shame that we're not going to get more on that, presumably. Who knows? Like, we were sitting for years saying we would never, ever see anything that Snyder shot of his original cut. And here we are getting everything you could possibly imagine out of it. I mean, I have no idea what precedent this sets. Like, who's to say? Maybe HBO goes full on. Maybe it's super well received. Maybe Affleck has a change of heart and he's like, you know what? One more time. And they like do an exclusive HBO Max Justice League continuation or trilogy. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess.
He's got it all scripted out. Like, they've got all the shit they need to just run with it, depending on how well received this is.
Yeah. I just don't want to... It seems to me like it just fell into, like, what people gripe about Marvel movies when it's just a setup for another thing. And I know for a fact that this one is going to be really fucking hard to do. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because odd things have happened. But, like, this is... After... the biggest hump that we got over to have this actually happen, it would take a lot more for this to continue again. All right, so guys, we've been kind of going over some character-centric stuff, but we haven't really dived into Steppenwolf or like the big bads in this movie yet. What do you guys want to...
The villains.
Yeah, what do you guys want to dive into those?
All right. I'm going to dive into Steppenwolf here real quick. I'm going to touch on appearance.
Careful, he's sharp and pointy.
He's very pointy. So I just got to bring up that he looked so stupid in Joss Whedon's version.
Oh yeah,
that,
unanimously stupid.
Oh my god, he looked like, I even pulled him up in the middle, and I was like, he looks like a not menacing guy at all. He looks like how Darkseid's uncle should look, like an uncle. Like, he looks so stupid. Now, his new version, incredibly menacing. I think he's a little, like, I would say the Doomsday tech, or whatever the tech they're using, the Apocalypse tech, looks cool, like, the longer you kind of, like, get used to what it looks like, real jagged, pointy, sharp, all that stuff. I think it's a little over-designed, in my opinion. Like, the armor, there's a lot going on there, like, kind of Michael Bay Transformers-ish type stuff. But, like, I think it's really cool. I think, like, him having a clear motive and being far more menacing, and knowing there's something even more menacing out there, made Steppenwolf, like, infinitely better in this new cut.
I will 100% agree with that. Going back and just rewatching the old cut, Steppenwolf looks bad, and his motives make no sense. He just has, like, this weird fucking fascination by calling the mother box his mother, and it makes no sense. Like, what is it, like some Oedipal thing that you want to fuck these things? Like, what is... It doesn't make any sense to me, and in this, his motive is 100% like stated and makes perfect sense in this movie. But like I will agree 100% that I think his suit is way over designed for no reason. Like I think it's not even like Kirby-esque. Like it's not. It just looks like a fucking 90s drawing a comic.
I thought it was very in line with, like, a lot of the Kryptonian tech, though. I just feel like all of the non-human stuff in the Snyderverse is super, like, overly intricate, you know? It reminded me of, like, whenever... Was it in Man of Steel where they, like, have the the map on the wall or whatever, and everything's done by like these little pointillist type of needles.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's just kind of like the look of this universe when it's anything non-terrestrial. Like that's what it reminded me of. And I don't love it. I think it's, like you said, a bit overdone, but there were moments where, you know, he could kind of like flex and like he could break the arrows off and it could like create the spikes off the shoulders and all that, where I'm like, okay, that's cool. A bit much, but compared to what we first had, 100% improvement.
Yes. Yeah. Anything over that first one. And God, he just looks so bad in that first one. Standing up to other things, he looks completely out of place in that first movie. Like he looks like a PlayStation cutscene, you know? But like him in the Paradise Island like whole thing, that was even stretched out a little bit longer, and I thought that worked really well. And it was like way more brutal in that too. So this new Steppenwolf, like, just for these small additions of like the fights that he's in, makes him way more formidable. Because at the end, when he gets his shit kicked in by Superman at the end in the Joss Whedon cut, it's just like, that was it. Like, you're nothing, boy. You're fucking you're weak as shit. You're washed, bud.
Yeah, I loved how they sent him back to Darkseid, though. Like, the portal's open and they just chop his head off and hook him through this portal. Like, that's great.
That is the Zack Snyder tendencies coming out, where it's like, yeah, fuck you, we're gonna cut you up and send you packing.
There was a point though where like they had like Steppenwolf like dead to rights at the end of their fight, and Superman is like holding him down by beating him on the ground and like heat visioning him. I'm like, oh shit, that almost seems cruel.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's too much, Snyder. Pull back just a little bit.
Batman's branding.
I'm not saying I like that either, but I'm just, yeah. But anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, it is amazing how just like little extended elements like made the scene so much better. Because I completely agree. Like when he fights at Atlantis, when he fights at Themyscira, when they are in that big nuclear reactor, everything just, like, it just worked so much better with a little bit more time to breathe. Even if it's a fight scene, it just, it felt so much more realized and competent.
Right.
And after seeing this, you're just like, everything we saw in the original just felt like a cobbled together piece of shit. Like, they didn't have anything to connect the scenes or the transitions. They just like grabbed random shots and threw them together without any like real vision in mind. You're just like, here, let's use this and this and this. And then when you see how it all was supposed to play out, you're like, oh my God, they cut that? Like, no wonder that didn't work, you know?
Yeah. I thought that a few times in this. I'm like, what? Like other points where I feel like it was a leap in logic. I'm like, oh, that was definitely in this. They just needed to add a line, 20 seconds, and it like completely makes total sense. I'm like, why is it cut? Why? Oh my goodness. And then of course there is Darkseid in this.
A lot of Darkseid, like way more than I was expecting.
I remember when the Snyder Cut was announced that it will happen, the actor who did Darkseid like spouted up on Twitter and was like, I'm just to tell you right now, Darkseid's in it. I was him. Like, I got I filmed all this shit. I didn't get any credit for it, and hopefully you get to see what I get to do. But I've got some
t-shirts made, and if anyone wants them, you can contact my PayPal.
Yeah, Darkseid is, baby.
Yeah, and when they started showing the Darkseid clips in the promos, I was like, fuck, they're doing it again. They're going to show the only shot of Darkseid. Right. Because, like, how much is he actually going to be in this? And then to my surprise, like, he had a pretty major role in it. Like, way more than, you know, like the comparable Thanos tease in the Marvel Universe. Like, they gave enough time to Darkseid that by the end of this, you're like, oh yeah, he's a mean dude. Like, they should be worried about him. It wasn't just like this guy in a chair that's looming in the background. Like, he felt very formidable.
I was fearful that all they did was change like the animations from Steppenwolf to Darkseid. Like it was a 1-to-1 swap.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too. But it was not.
'Twas not the case. There was a point though where I did see that they reused the animation for Steppenwolf and just flipped it, like mirrored it. Like when Darkseid is in like the past and he like grabs into the dirt or whatever, like Steppenwolf uses that exact same animation, but they mirror it. So he's using his other hand later on when he realizes that the anti-life equation is on Earth.
I thought that was intentional because it was supposed to mirror like what Darkseid did. Like,
If that was the case,
it's come full circle.
If that's the case, I missed it. But it's like the animation is exactly the same. So I was like, was that just a shortcut because that was something he had to add in the Snyder Cut and couldn't like do full on new CG? Like they just had to replace a character model or something like that. That's all that I was wondering. But
yeah, I took it as it's supposed to be kind of like a callback to what Darkseid did. Like Steppenwolf is having that same realization, like, oh, this is the place.
Yeah, but that seems like odd to me that like they lost on that planet initially, and he knows.
And then they forgot about it.
Yeah, they Darkseid wouldn't fucking kept tabs on that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I thought the same thing. Like, how many planets do you fight where the one that you lose and you're like, nah, forget about that one?
And like, yeah, lost your most powerful MacGuffins on. You're not gonna fucking remember where that shit is. Get real.
Yeah, and I liked your comment too on how all of the Atlanteans bury or put it underwater and hide it, and the Amazons lock and key it, and then the men just bury it in the ground.
Yeah, they just throw it in the hole.
Yep, this'll do.
So me and my friend Joel were watching this together, and we were having a field day with that, where it's like, oh, there's Cyborg just throwing that shit in a hole again. Perfect place to bury it, dude. or they try to hide it again, and they just throw a coat over it. It's like, come on, human race, what are you doing here?
I mean, and there were so many moments. I mean, we just keep circling back where this extended version just makes so much more sense. After they fight Superman, in the original cut, they just leave the box on the cop car, and Steppenwolf just booms in and takes it.
Yeah.
And in this one, like, Cyborg's father takes it and runs off, and then we get his whole climax of his story. But it always just boggled my mind why they're just like, oh, wait, where's the box? Oh, I think we left it over there. This thing that they're trying everything in their power to keep safe, and they just fucking leave it on a cop car. It's like,
shit.
God, I hope they do something differently with that.
And
yeah, I mean, it was seriously every bad decision in the original made sense in this by the context that they added to it.
Yeah. Okay, there's one thing I want to say before I forget again. I want to know why Superman's scream is the thing that awakened the mother boxes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
Superman's only been there for 30 something years. Like there was no Kryptonian there before. And so like why would his passing make it safe for them to come back and get him? Like that didn't make any sense to me. And also to the point where like Superman is like the only Kryptonian to venture out this way and is like a powerful foe, but they make like a mention that like the Kryptonian's dead. Like, do you know that Kryptonians are powered under a yellow sun? Because like he's only been there for 30 years, and like 5,000 years ago you had this battle. Like that doesn't make any sense to me either. But I overlooked it, but whatever.
I kind of had that same thought, and I found it funny that they were like, oh, there's no lanterns or no Kryptonians. And I'm like, are Kryptonians well renowned for being super strong? I thought they were just a bunch of stupid science nerds on this like other planet that killed themselves. Like how they're not that cool.
Right. I mean, if you take it in the context of like this universe that they've created, like if you think about it, it's like Superman's the only anomaly, and he's been around for 30 years. Like, get your shit together, Darkseid, you dumbass.
I guess he would know because he's been to a billion planets, that if he's under a yellow sun and there happens to be a Kryptonian, that they could be an issue. I guess
And we could. In Man of Steel, didn't they kind of mention that there were quite a few like Kryptonian travelers and explorers? You know, because they found that old ship. Like maybe they've sent out more and they've had various effects across the universe. Like maybe we're eventually going to get to like a Power Girl or something.
Yeah, so like maybe like they do make mention of that in Man of Steel, that they were explorers and they were exploring outwards towards, but like it's weird that in that movie also you see Zod and company escape the Phantom Zone and come across all these ships and they're all fucking dead. Like it's like you don't ever see one that's like super powered and stuff. And like that was like just one little thing that if you scratch at it too hard, it will never scab back over again. So don't think about it too hard. But yeah,
right. The only thing I can think of, like, I know they mentioned like a multiverse type of thing as well. Like maybe there's just, you know, who knows?
Yeah,
maybe there's a couple different options there that they could have explored. But yeah, I agreed. I thought that was kind of weird that it was his scream that set it off. I never put that together in Batman vs Superman. That was the bell that Luthor was talking about.
Right. I also I also had a problem with in Man of Steel, because I watched Man of Steel and Justice League in the last week, that it's weird that this scout ship landed on Earth 20,000 years ago, because they make that point to say it. It's 20,000 years deep in ice, and it still has his family's suits in it. Like that's pretty remarkable, because he goes back to that same ship in this movie and there's like a bunch of Superman-esque suits. It's like, oh, that's kind of ironic that unless there's like only 4 families on Krypton.
Yeah, that was maybe it's a tight-knit group. That was the one thing of Man of Steel that I never really thought too hard about either. I was like, so wait, what's this other ship? Like, that's not his ship? What's up with this?
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's too angry about the tornado.
Let's see. There was a I don't know if this was like a fans making this happen, but there was a cameo of another character in this that shows up twice. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Martian go ahead. I was just gonna say, when it first happened, where it was him disguised as Martha Kent talking to Lois Lane, like, I kind of was like, holy shit, like, that was really cool. The end, the last part I thought was unnecessary, but I think the dialogue in it was also kind of silly, but like, I thought it was really cool. I heard something, I saw something on like Twitter, I think, that was like, that was supposed to be Jon Stewart's Green Lantern at the end, but the studio wouldn't let him do it because they had plans for it or something, but that's all I know, really.
Yep. British Neil from the Discord posted that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which would have been kind of cool. Like, I liked the initial Martian Manhunter appearance there halfway through the movie. I was like, oh, cool. Because I'd heard Snyder always planned for that. That's why he cast that one actor for him back in Man of Steel. And then at the very end, which unfortunately this was like the last part of the epilogue, and I thought it was the one thing that kind of felt flat and shoehorned in. We're like, well, we already saw him, and like, why would he just swing over, talk to Batman, and then fly off? I thought that was a little kind of a weak ending to it.
So did I. And I actually didn't care for any of it. Like, I felt like the genuine moment between Martha and Lois was really well earned. And then it's like, oh, it's just Martian Manhunter. Like, okay, cool. What?
You saying a Martian can't have a genuine moment with a woman?
No, they're aliens. Go back home.
Oh.
No.
What if
it didn't do anything for, I'm like, because Joel saw that, he watched like 2 hours of it before work that same day, so he watched 6 hours of Justice League with me in a day. But like, he saw that part before he went to work, and he's like watching me to have a reaction on like when he turns into Martian Manhunter. I'm just like, the fuck? And he just started laughing so hard, because I'm like, it has no other payoff. He doesn't come back until the epilogue. Or I also thought it was unnecessary for him to be there. But if it was supposed to be Green Lantern at the end, I feel like it would be better. But then at the
Yeah,
same time,
yeah.
I'd also be asking, like, where's your ass on this? Like, why haven't you been doing anything?
Off-world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is all footage from stuff that he was making and building to like a trilogy of films. So I'm assuming Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern would have then played a bigger role going forward, and this was kind of their quick introduction to him. And since that's never happening, like, well, bummer, but, you know, at least we got to kind of see what he was shooting for here, even though there isn't, like, a payoff in it.
Yeah. I didn't even think, like, the Martian design was that great either. It was kind of, like, dark and hidden. It wasn't really an inspired design. I've seen better looks. I'm not going to say it was on the Supergirl show, but it's, like, I've seen other things where I feel like Zack Snyder would have got his hands in it, and it would have, I don't know. If he was going to go full on with it, I feel like it would have looked better instead of this felt just tacked on. Because as soon as Martha Kent, like, closes the door, it could have been end of scene. Like, it doesn't need to be transformed into that. But anyway, that's my thought.
This is the only Justice League like this we're going to get. Like, if you have a Martian Manhunter
But
and you're
I'm
hiding
not-
it from me, you know how pissed I'd be? Just
But
give
if
me everything.
If you didn't know it was hidden from you, it wouldn't have made any difference. That's why I'm, like, throwing it in.
Someone would have found it.
Whatever.
The Snyder
I'd feel
cult
like
would have found it and then be like, there's a cut with Martian Manhunter, can you believe it? And then it would become the Snyder Manhunter cut, and then they would have been petitioning for this for like 5 years, and then we'd get the Ultra 4K version. Like, just put everything you have in it. Just get it all in there so we can be done with it and carry on with our lives.
Yeah, the one line he had at the end where he's like, "Oh, and people call me Martian Manhunter." If I was
that was
Batman,
dumb.
I'm like, "You're a manhunter? What the fuck?" He should have just said his name
just
was
became
fucking
public
John
enemy number
or
1.
something like that. He should have just said his his name that people call him, and then that would have been a lot better.
That would have posed more questions. My name's Johns, and he would have been, what? Did you stutter?
Yeah.
Did you
Did
say
I
your name was
mishear
Jeff
you?
Johns? Jeff
John? Like, John?
His name is very problematic now.
Just call me the Manhunter. The Manhunter? Martian Manhunter. You're a Martian?
Martian?
You know how I feel about aliens on this planet.
Come here,
There's
I'm
even
gonna brand you really
1%. Maybe what we got was the less problematic version this could have taken.
This is true. Batman will figure him out, though, and pour a glass of magnesium in his face, and he'll set a flame and kill him or something.
He'll hunt him down relentlessly and then eventually become friends with him very quickly.
Yeah.
Also found it
I
weird
thought-
in this universe too that Batman in this. Oh, this is a completely change of subject, but like that Batman doesn't help Martha Kent out with her house. Like,
Yeah, I thought that
like
too.
until the very last moment, it's like, well, I bought the bank that can't foreclose you now. It's like, why didn't you just give her like $1 billion? Like, like, oh well, whatever.
More important things to worry about at that given point in time.
I guess so. Bigger fish to fry. He was tracking down Aquaman.
Yeah.
Literal bigger fish to fry.
Very, very good, Dave.
Thank you. That's it for me. Bye. We should kind of wrap this up because I'm on low battery on my recorder. But
You bet.
yeah. What? Any last thoughts overall?
Yes, the ending where you thought it was all over and Barry Allen reverses time was the biggest thing where I was like, why on earth did you think that this would not work?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was an amazing character moment for someone that I disliked through the whole movie.
And it
Yeah.
looked amazing. And I don't know if it was
Yep.
gone back in and retouched up in this. I have no idea. But I think that was the biggest travesty. You just have the Flash kind of zip around and push around a truck rather than fucking turn back time. It's not like he created a Flashpoint universe yet or anything like that. He just like did what they did in Superman 1 and reverse time so he can happen again and win. Like, why cut that out? Why?
Yeah. Yep, that was so good. And
Yeah.
even
And-
though we lost that poor Russian family as a result of this,
Yeah.
like, yeah, what a great character
God,
moment
that
for
is
him.
yeah, and it's incredibly because it comes back to like people's fathers saying inspiring things about their sons. Like, it came back to that again for The Flash, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most touching thing in the world. But, like, they would rather push around a Russian family and have Superman flying a house around or a hotel building. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I hate the previous movie just because this one exists now. Like, I hate everything about it because it was just, like, stripping away everything that was decent.
People won't be able
one.
to. People won't be able to attach to this. We need to bring in a family that they can really attach to and put them in peril. This one family living in a nuclear reactor in the middle of a terraforming of an alien planet. That'll pull their heartstrings.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah, that entire sequence was so well done. And then Superman's return there was great. I think you had a poll on whether or not we were going to get the freeze breath, and boom, right off the bat, we get it. It was great.
That poll ended almost like pretty dead even. It was 60-40, and we ended up getting it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
God, flashback to From Hell and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen polls there.
Yeah, but I'm going to say right now, freeze breath is my least favorite Superman power, so that's why I didn't know if Zack Snyder...
it's very dumb.
That's why I thought that Zack Snyder would also think it was dumb, and like, because it is in the Joss Whedon one, and I'm like...
Is it?
Yeah, that's the reason I put up the poll, because I'm like, oh, do you think Zack Snyder's going to put it in here too? And he did, and it was better done in this cut, because in the other one, he like really huffs and puffs and like freezes the axe, and Wonder Woman comes down and smashes it. But what happened in this, he like just goes, freezes it, breaks it himself, and then Wonder Woman comes down and cuts off his head.
Yeah. Yep. Bit more weight to it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, overall, I do think that this movie is a vast improvement to this whatever came out before. I do have my gripes with it, and Zack Snyder's universe is still a bit grim in places, but I felt like this movie, though, kind of went back on a lot of things that I didn't like about Batman v Superman, where they were more of the characters that I know and love, but with like a bit more of an edge to them, which I'm like, okay, sometimes it tips a scale over things that I don't like, but it had more of what I did like in this movie.
Yeah. So as, you know, we can say like the Snyder trilogy now, his DC trilogy. We've got Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Justice League. And it works backwards, you know. It's like a deconstruction before the reconstruction of what it should always be. And I feel like there's no way that should work, but looking at how this all came together and kind of how Man of Steel opened, and then we kind of circled back to parts of it. We saw how, like, down in the dumps Bruce Wayne was and how out of character he was. But then by the end of it, how he kind of comes and learns and gets healed from everything that's happened to him. And we leave with them as essentially the traditional Justice League by the end of it. I was like, that is pretty good. You know, that was a unique way to do this that sets it apart from a lot of other just kind of generic origin story superhero movies. So I think that is definitely something to give accolade to. I think it worked now that we've seen the full picture, even though over the last 10 years, all anybody said is, this is wrong, this is not how it goes, this is not going to work. But seeing like his full vision of what he pictured for how this is all going to turn out, I'm like, yeah, man, that was a good idea. I like it. I think it's a very, and when I say adult, I don't mean like, ugh, fucking I hate your fucking kids shows and all that. Like, I think it's a very cool, like, adult version of superheroes in a way that we don't normally see them in movies today. It treated it very seriously, which I like. You know, it wasn't... The biggest difference from this was the characters weren't always spouting one-liners and, like, taking a piss on everything that just happened. Anytime something big happened, they didn't treat it as a joke. Like, they just went all into it as earnest as you can. And that's what I wanted out of this.
Yeah. I looking at it as a trilogy, I still think I I'm still not a fan of Batman v Superman, even though like the redemptive part in this, I don't know if it feels earned or not, because I think he might have even toned it down when he went into Justice League, thinking like, well, a lot of people didn't really like that. But that big moody take in Batman v Superman, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit in this. But I do like that it has like a fun little arc for some characters, even though like I don't like the middle portion. But I do think that this, if you're going to watch Justice League, strap in and watch this one, because you're not going to get anything out of the other one.
No.
Yeah. The other one is like not a movie compared to this.
The only reason I would even think about the other one is because I've completely forgotten about it and what is different than the other one. And then I would watch 6 hours of Justice League. Just as like compare and contrast them again. So like that'd be the only ever reason I'd...
Not worth the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Neil, what do you think?
Neil?
I think this is just a vast improvement over the original. I would agree with like pretty much almost everything you guys have kind of touched on. I think it's just, if you're going to watch a version, watch this one. If you want to subject yourself to torture, watch all 6 hours and just really shit on the one that Joss Whedon did. Like, I am just like happy that like this vision got told, because like a lot of people like legit got kind of screwed over. Like, not only in just like the like in whatever happens in these films, but like kind of in real life. Like, poor Ray Fisher, like, hopefully gets some retribution because of this, because like his is like my favorite part of like this entire movie, and to have him completely cut out, and I know he just went through a lot and had to like, it's just everything about it is it's shitty for him to have to go through, and I'm glad, like, I hope this brings at least something back to it where he can feel like proud that he was in this and did this. I don't know, like, I think this is a really good take. I think this is the version that you should probably watch if you're interested in Justice League. So that's my take.
And I know, like, it became cool to rip on Snyder over the last couple years, but, like, the dude was a good sport about all of this. You know, he was hired on and given free rein to build their universe. He was doing it. He had this grand plan for everything, and then, like, halfway through, they just pulled the rug out from under him and, like, kicked him out and let someone else completely mess with what he'd spent the last 10 years of his life doing, during like a time when, I mean, apparently there was a really horrible family tragedy that he was dealing with too. And it seemed like the studio kind of used that as a way to get him out without like firing him, essentially. But it just seemed like there was a lot of shit going on that was really shady around the whole production. And for him to just like not blow up or speak out about this, and just kind of like, he played ball. Eventually, like, the fans and everyone got behind him. And by the end of it, he got the movie that he wanted out. Probably the most you could possibly get a movie out. He got, you know, like, he didn't just get a director's cut. He got the money to, like, go back and remake it almost from scratch, it seems like. And what he ended up with is probably better than we would have ever gotten initially.
With like a studio cut, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm happy it worked out for him. I can't believe it did. As we've said, I think it's unprecedented. And I'm really interested to see, like, what happens next, especially with HBO, a platform that, like, anything goes at the moment, where, man, maybe this is going to become a more regular thing, for better or for worse. But whenever it comes to, like, a studio hiring somebody, they have their vision, and then when the studio's afraid it's not going to, like, make enough money, I always side with, like, the director there. You know, it's like, I want the creative to be able to do what they were hired to do. I'm not siding with a big corporation that just wants to get people in seats. So I'm okay
but I
with
mean,
this.
they are a business that needs to make money. I'm not like trying to like side with studios or whatever, but like they are a business.
Yeah, and I get that, but like at the same time, you're just asking, you know, if I'm asking to side with one or the other, I'm always going to side for, you know, the person they hired to do a job.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting going forward. I'm very happy this got made. I never in a million years would have imagined it would have got made like this. And the fact that everyone, pretty unanimously is saying that it's good, if not great, makes me very happy. I'm like, good for Zack. I've loved Zack since Dawn of the Dead, his first movie that I saw in theaters. I was like, God, that was excellent. And then 300, Watchmen, I've carried a torch for him. So to see him finally get a little bit of retribution on this makes me quite happy.
Yeah. I mean, his name is bigger on the cover than Justice League.
Well, he had more of a role in it than the property had going in. So,
was that gonna do it?
I think so.
Awesome. Well, good chat, fellas. So this has been our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. So let us know what you think of the movie. You can hit us up pretty much anywhere. You can hit us up on Twitter. I am at Short of the Max on Twitter.
I'm at Imperious Rex Show.
I'm at Dino Neilman.
If you enjoyed what you hear and wanted to support the show, feel free to join our Patreon, where we have all kinds of different rewards tiers and also free access to our Discord, where we just chat and BS all day about stuff like this. It's really been heating up since the Snyder Cut launched. Lots of differing opinions and so much more to talk about coming up. My God, I can't wait for Mortal Kombat, Troy.
Oh my God, Mortal Kombat. If it's anything like the Snyder Cut, you know what we're talking about even before we throw it out in public. So you can even join that chat in our spoilers channel, movie channel, whatever we got going on in there. So hit us up on our Discord. You can find that link through our Patreon.
That's right. So, yep, we appreciate all the support we get. We love doing the show, but any little extra bit that people are willing to share helps. Helps us keep the lights on, keep producing fun content like this, and gives us a chance to help kind of build this fun community here that we have gathering at the Discord.
Very good, Dave. And until next time, I have been Short of the Max Extreme,
Ghost Hunter Dave,
Dinosaur Neil.
And we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Imperious Rex, 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 Imperious Rex.